to make you a short video of just a few problems we didn't get to in class that you might need to help you with your homework. And so the first one is at the bottom of page 44. And these were the first ones where we were going to have a number in with the x, which would cause it to shrink or stretch. And when you work with the x, remember we do the opposite. Like if it was added inside before we moved to the left, right, we're going to do the same thing here. So it looks like multiplication with the x, so we are going to divide by 2. So I have the original chart here, and it's the x's that we're affecting because the 2 is inside with the x. So we're going to divide all of our x's by 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 will give us negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 will give us negative 1. 0 divided by 2 will give us 0. 2 divided by 2 will give us 1. And 4 divided by 2 will give us 2. Our y's stayed the same. And now we will plot those. So negative 2, 0. Negative 1, 2. 0, 3. 1, 0. And 2, negative 2. And we'll connect the dots. Right? And when you look at this picture, it has shrunk from the original. And we divided by 2. Notice our original, the width of it is 8 units. So if we count them, there's 4 and 4 more. And our new one is 1, 2, 3, 4 for the width. So it shrunk. For this problem, g of x equals f of 1/2 of x. Notice the half is inside with the x, so this is going to be an x thing. We're going to do the opposite. So it looks like a half is multiplied by x. We should divide by a half. Remember, to divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal, which would be flip it over. So we are going to multiply our x's by 2. So I have our original points. Our x's are going to multiply by 2. So negative 2 times 2 will give us a negative 4. Negative 1 times 2 will give us a negative 2. 0 times 2 will be 0. 1 times 2 will be 2. 2 times 2 will be 4. Now we'll plot those. So negative 4, 0. Negative 2, 2. 0, 0. 2, negative 1. And 4, 0. And then we'll connect. And now we'll notice that our width has changed. It has increased. Our original was 4 units across, and our new one is going to be 8 units across. For multiple transformations, we will do them in the following order. First, we will do a horizontal shift. Second, stretch or shrink. Third, reflections. And last, the vertical shift. So, and we're working originally here with our x cubed graph. And the first thing we'll do to it is work on the horizontal shift. We're inside with the x. It's a +1. So we're going to go to the left one, which means we're going to subtract 1 from our x coordinates. So we have 0 minus 1 will give us negative 1. 1 minus 1 will give us 0. Negative 1 minus 1 will give us negative 2. 2 minus 1 will give us 1. And negative 2 minus 1 will give us negative 3. Now we will work on the stretch or shrink. the negative 2 is multiplied by the x. So we are going to divide by a negative 2 on the x's. And so I am working on our second set of points that were ordered pairs that we had. So I'm going to divide those x's by negative 2. So negative 1 divided by negative 2 gives me a positive 1/2. 0 divided by negative 2 gives me 0. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 gives me a positive 1. 1 divided by negative 2 gives me a negative 1/2. And negative 3 divided by negative 2 gives me a positive 3/2. I included the reflection with the stretch or shrink, and so we are ready for the vertical shift, and we are going to shift down 2. This is going to be with the y-axis, so we're going to subtract 2 on the y's from our third set of data points. So 0 minus 2 will be negative 2. 1 minus 2 will be a negative 1. Negative 1 minus 2 will be negative 3. 8 minus 2 will be 6. And negative 8 minus 2 will be a negative 10. Then we will plot with our last group of points. So 1/2 and negative 2. So 1/2 and negative 2. 0, negative 1. 1, negative 3. Negative 1/2, 6. And 3/2, negative 10. So that'll be 1.5. And negative 10 is going to go way off my charts. I have 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So negative, so 3/2, 1.5, and negative 10. And then I can connect. And it does the little curve. And there you go. Wanted just to include the screenshot from the graphing calculator. Our picture does look like this. I put both of these functions in. This is function 1 and this is function 2 for it to graph. And then I pulled up the table, and so this x and y1, this will be for the first graph, and then these x's with these y's would be for the second graph. Notice it doesn't have the ones we were doing by hand, but if you picked out the 0 does match with the negative 1, the 1 does match with the negative 3. So it's nice to see it multiple ways. We'll do one more problem with multiple steps, and I believe in your packet that this problem had a typo. It did not have the square root symbol on there, but we are working from the square root graph, a variation of the square root graph. So I think you need a square root symbol on there. First, we will take care of this horizontal shift, and it is a -2, so we're going to go to the right 2 places or add 2 to our x's. So 0 plus 2 will be 2, 1 plus 2 will be 3, 4 plus 2 will be 6, and 9 plus 2 will be 11. Next, we'll take care of our stretch or shrink factor, which is the -2, and it's on the outside. So it is going to have to do with the y movement. So it will be -2 times the y values. So 0 times -2 is still going to be 0. 1 times -2 will be -2. 2 times -2 will be -4. And 3 times -2 will be -6. And I went ahead and included that reflection with that. Our last transformation piece we have on this one is the +3, which is your vertical shift. So our y's, we're going to add 3. This was our third table right here. So on the y's, we're going to add 3. So 0 plus 3 will be 3. -2 plus 3 will be 1. -4 plus 3 will be -1. -6 plus 3 will be -3. And then we can graph those. So we have 2, 3. We have 3, 1. We have 6, -1. And we have 11, -3. Oh, about right there. And you have to be a little cautious with this one. When I originally drew it, I just extended this arrow, but it actually doesn't. And it's because of your domain. Underneath your radical, remember, that has to be greater than or equal to 0. So it does not extend forever here. Your x cannot be smaller than 2. And just real quick, here is the screenshot from your graphing calculator. I put in the two functions, square root of x, and then this transformation of the square root of x. Here is our picture, and I also pulled the table.